There, welcome to or back to my channel. Thank you for being here. I hope you're having a great morning or evening or afternoon or whatever works for you at this time. I've been watching a lot of BookTube lately. Yeah, that's a shocker, huh? And everything that's going around right now is that usual trend of 26 books I'm going to read in 2026. And I have some thoughts about this trend, which is what I'm here to talk to you guys about today. Every time I see this trend, I have two different reactions. The first is, wow, love that. Love a challenge for myself. I already read like 180 books a year, so this is going to be easier than when I berate myself in the mirror every morning. And then the second reaction I have is this small panic in the back of my brain that's like, I can't even pick out an outfit for today, and you want me to pick out 26 books to read by the end of the year. So today I'm going to talk about why I'm not doing 26 in 2026 and what I'm going to do differently. So in the year of 2026, I'm going to do 6 in 2026. That's right, just 6. Doesn't that sound so unbelievably reasonable and manageable? That's what I'm going for. I actually tried this trend for 1 year, and it was back in 2024. So I did 24 books in 2024, and I actually did a decent job, but that was only because I changed the list like 3 times throughout the year to suit my reading. I'm less of a mood reader now than I used to be, but at the time I was definitely a mood reader, and so every time I would go back to the list, I'd be like, I'm probably not going to read this year. I do know I'm going to read this book next month for a book club or something, so let me add that onto the list. And that's not how that's supposed to work. It's not. So that was the only reason that I did so well. And, most of the time I would start a book that was on the list, and it just wasn't the right time for that. Like, I have had many a time where a book just isn't working for me in the moment, and most of the time I'll DNF it and probably never pick it up again. But then there are other times where I do a soft DNF and I pick it up just a few months later, and all of a sudden I'm giving that book and all of its sequels 5 stars. I think it's really important not to put too much pressure on when you're reading a book for multiple reasons. Sometimes it just feels like we're really trying to keep up with the pressure of reading. It's like there's so many books being published every month, it seems, and we're trying to keep up with that, or we're trying to keep up with people who do BookTube full time and they can read 200 books a year, or we're just scrolling on social media, seeing how much people are reading and feeling like we have to be reading that too. And that kind of thing is what makes reading less enjoyable, when we're putting so much pressure on ourselves. And even though I think this is a great idea for a challenge, we're just getting to a point where it's too much. Even if, like me, you read a lot of books throughout the year, I don't always want to put pressure. I don't even really like doing a monthly TBR sometimes, because if I do one, I make it very small, and that gives me room to read other things that I really want to throughout the month, because it just changes up so much. It's almost like, what's even the point of making this TBR? So this year I am giving myself the grace to read what I want to read, but there are some books that have been sitting in my brain or on my shelves for a while that I really do want to get to this year for various reasons. So I'm going to let you know what those 6 books are for this year. First up on my list is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This book is first on my list because this is the one book that I said I was going to read in 2025. What? And I didn't. I was told to read this book in 2025 because I think it's set around this time, or maybe it is in the year of 2025? Question mark? Somewhere around this time. And I've also heard that this is eerily similar to the real life out there. And you know what that tells me about this book? That tells me this is heavy. A heavy book, which is probably why I've been avoiding it for so long. But 2026 is the year of challenging myself in new ways, and I do think it could be the perfect time to get to this one. I read an unnatural amount of books every year because at my core, I am trying to escape reality. But I feel like this book is going to grab me by the shoulders and be like, no, we are going to talk about this. And you have no choice. So I'm going to grab my emotional support water bottle when I pick this one up, and hopefully I get to it kind of early on this year is what I'm thinking. All right, next up is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. And let me tell you a little story about this book. I started this book over a year ago, and I loved it. I enjoyed it so much that the next day after starting it, I think I got about a quarter of the way through. The next day, I was like, I actually want to annotate this. So I restarted it from the beginning so that I could annotate it. And I did. I think I got a little bit further the second time, like about a third of the way through. This is all within 2 days that I've done this. And then I picked up insert farming game here, and I was addicted to that for a week, and then I never picked this up again. And I must have just gotten distracted by 17 other books that I decided to read after binge playing my video game, because I still continued to read books for the rest of the year. Just not this one. Clearly, it still has the bookmark in it. Part of the reason that I've been putting this one off is because it's long, it's a chunky book, but I literally read almost every single John Gwynne book this past year. So I really can't keep using "it's a long book" as an excuse. I think the other reason that I've been putting it off for a little bit is because I am going to have to restart it and reread this first bit. But again, how is that an excuse? We would literally rather start and read 100 pages of a new book than reread a book that we've already started and enjoyed for whatever reason. So yeah, this one is going to require some mental energy. I'm going to have to break out my annotation materials. I'm going to have to break out a snack. Maybe send a small prayer to the book gods, but I am going to get to this book in 2026. All right, next up is going to be Dark Dawn by Jay Kristoff. That is the third book in the Nevernight trilogy, and no, I do not own it yet, but I will, because I am going to read that book in 2026. As far as the Nevernight Chronicles go, I am just so scared to read the last book. I'm scared because this first book, well, actually, let me explain about this first book. This is one of those books that I read once and I gave it 3 stars at the end of it. But I remembered like rushing through it. There was probably just something else I wanted to get to read. So I rushed through the ending of this and I just was like, I liked some aspects of it, but it was fine. And then later on in the year, there was just something that was really calling me back to this book. I felt like I did not give it the attention that it deserved. And I was so right. Because after rereading this one, I instantly gave it 5 stars. And then I read the sequel, God's Grave, and I gave that 5 stars. So now I am just utterly terrified of reading the third book and not being able to give it 5 stars. I don't think that's going to happen. I actually am pretty confident about it, that I'm going to give it 5 stars. I don't know. I'm just scared, and I've been putting it off. The other thing about this book series is that I do annotate it. I mean, look at these tabs. Ugh. These are some of my favorite books to just pull off of my shelf and look at the tabs and the annotations because I just absolutely love the colors that I went with and everything. Brings me so much joy. So I'm definitely going to have to do this for the finale, obviously. And when I read and annotate a book, I have to sit and think about every line that I read. After every line, I'm thinking about whether or not I think that line is important, or maybe I just really love the writing of it. It's a great metaphor, something. And I'm hardcore annotating. So that is going to take time, focus, energy, things that we're all struggling with right now. Am I right? But this book, these books, this series has just been sitting on my shelf, silently judging me for so long. And I realize that I'm saving it for a time when I have unlimited time and focus and emotional stability. And surprise, that doesn't exist. So 2026 is the year that I'm finally going to read Dark Dawn and finish up the Nevernight Chronicles. And then I get to move on to Empire of the Vampire. So it's big wins all around. All right, the next book I am so excited for because it is actually the 4th book in my favorite series of all time. And I do not say that lightly because I read an irresponsible amount of books every year. And yet this is my favorite series of all time. The series that I'm referring to is This Woven Kingdom. And the 4th book that was just released is All This Twisted Glory. Nope. Every Spiral of Fate. Okay, if it looks like the lighting is a little different, or my hair is a little different, or I just look a little different, mind your business. Okay, I don't remember what I've already said about this series for reasons, but This Woven Kingdom is my favorite series. It is my favorite series. I own that. That is an unpopular opinion for whatever reason, but this is my favorite series. When people ask me about my favorite book or favorite series, this is the one that pops into my head. And that's a very hard question for me to answer, but this is always the first one to pop in. This and Nevernight are the ones that pop into my head. So it's got to be this one. Now, I will hear no slander about this series, okay? This is my favorite, and I get personally offended when a friend or a booktube friend or just a random booktuber that I've never watched before reads this and they either don't finish it or they just give it a 3-star and think it's fine, because that I cannot comprehend that. That is how good this series is to me. I read the first one randomly, gave it a 5-star. Reread it again to prepare for the sequel. Easily another 5-star. It gave me the same exact vibes as the first time that I read it. The sequel, I did not give a 5. I gave it a 4. It would be like a 4, 4.25. I didn't like it as much for some reason, but I still love it. I really do. And then I read All This Twisted Glory. This book is the reason I now understand when people say that it's a 6-star book. Because before that, to me, 6 stars just meant it's 5 stars. Like, okay, you really loved it, so it's a 5-star book. Nope. I get it now. I get it now. This is a 6-star book to me. Just the writing, the plot, the characters, the found family. I love every single thing about this, and I am so excited to read the next one. I'm nervous to read the next one for those reasons, because I just love this series so much, and I'm so worried about it somehow going downhill, but I don't know. Every single year I reread the previous book in this series. So I haven't been putting this one off. It's just that the 4th one just came out. I don't know if I said it. These Infinite Threads. No, that's still not right. What is it called? Every Spiral of Fate. Every Spiral of Fate. Every Spiral of Fate, the newest book, just came out in September, and I do have the whole series in paperback, so I have to wait until it comes out in paperback. But that's okay, because every time a new one comes out, I reread the previous one to prepare for the new one. So I still have not reread All This Twisted Glory, and I'm so excited about this reread. Like, I remember why I love it, but I know there's parts that I don't remember that I'm just so happy that I get to reread it in preparation for the new one. I'm a little scared of the new one just because you're always a little bit scared to read the next book in a series that you love so much, because what if it goes downhill? I really hope it doesn't. I like to think that it's not going to, since I've already loved the first 3. Like, 3 is a lot. I'm usually the kind of person who loves the first book in the series more than any other book in the series. That is almost always true about me. But that's not true about this one, and I really hope it keeps it going. I think there's supposed to be 5 books in this series, so we're getting close to the end, and I really don't want it to end, but this is another series that I annotate, and once again, it just brings me so much joy. I will just randomly take these off the shelf to look at the tabs and open it up and read some of the annotations. Now, it looks like I didn't like the last one as much. Not true. Not true. It's my favorite one. I'm going to be picking that up, and I'm going to be reading it in 2026. I'm not holding off on reading this series. It's not like I've been avoiding it. It's just I know I am going to read Every Spiral of Fate in 2026. All right, we're on to book number 5, which is The Sword of Kaigen by Emma Wong. I feel like this book needs no introduction. I do think that it already has a reputation, and this reputation may be why I've been avoiding it for so long. I've been aware of this book for years, and I have been actively avoiding it because I don't know if I am ready for the emotional devastation. I am someone who wants to feel things, yes, but I'm also just trying to survive the week sometimes. So I've been waiting for a moment where I can handle whatever this book is going to do to me, but I don't think that moment is ever just going to magically arrive, so I'm not really sure if this is a me book. It seems very war heavy, which is not really something that I tend to enjoy, but this is also coming from someone who loves the world of John Gwynne, so as long as it's character driven and deep and emotional in that sense, and it's not too war heavy, I think I'll like it. I don't know if I'll love it. I don't know if it'll actually make me cry. I don't know if I'll immediately need to lie down afterwards. But I do know that it's time. All right, and the sixth and final book on my 6th of 2026 is House of Earth and Blood. I was gonna say Crescent City. House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. Why have I been avoiding this book? I think the reasons are honestly kind of silly. First of all, it's long. Okay, whatever. I feel like that's a weak excuse coming from me. I read long books all the time. I love long books all the time. Sometimes I read short books and I wish they were longer. So what is the psychology there? For some reason, this long book is just more intimidating than some of the others. The second is that this is an urban fantasy, which is different from the other worlds of Sarah J. Maas. I have read Throne of Glass and ACOTAR. Urban setting is just something different, and something different just means it takes a little more time to get used to. And then actually there is a third reason, and that is because I have not heard good things about the way this trilogy ends, which is frustrating because I've already read everything else that she's written. I'm already fully invested in this universe, whether I like it or not. So avoiding it isn't really protecting me. It's just like delaying the inevitable. So 2026 is the year that I'm finally going to stop sidestepping Crescent City. I don't expect it to be perfect, but I do really want to form my own opinion about it. I mean, this is coming from the girl that gave Assassin's Blade 5 stars and Kingdom of Ash 2 stars. I have very unpopular opinions when it comes to the Throne of Glass series, so maybe I'll end up liking book 3 the best. I will not know until I read this series and try it out for myself. I want to experience this book without letting internet consensus do it for me. It's not a grand finale, it's not my most anticipated book of the year, but it is intentional, and that's the purpose for all of this. So those are my 6 books that I plan on reading in 2026. Just books that have been sitting in my brain or on my shelves or just in my emotional orbit for a while. And just remember, reading doesn't always have to be about proving anything. Not how many books you read, not how disciplined you are, not how productive your hobby looks on or off the internet. Sometimes it can just be about intention, about choosing books that you genuinely want to read and make time for. If you're doing 26 and 2026, I think that's so fun for you. Truly, I am so happy for you. I love that for you. But if the idea of making that kind of list makes your brain kind of like short circuit a little, just know that you can change it. You're allowed to make it smaller, or you can change your mind halfway through. All these rules that we make for ourselves in the book world are arbitrary. We can change them at any time. So that's all for me today. If you plan on doing 26 and 2026, let me know. Or if you're trying something smaller, gentler, just something different this year, let me know. Or let me know your favorite book that you plan on reading in 2026, the thing that you're most excited for, I should say. And if you don't have much to say and you just want to let me know you are here, leave a book emoji in the comments. Also, do yourself a favor and read a book that you really love today, even if it's just a chapter. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!